Good morning. We are back with our third podcast, and in Dr. White's words, we're podcasting.
Yes, we are.
In the beautiful Fame podcast studio that was just celebrated with our Rome Floyd County Chamber of Commerce this week, which was a fun ceremony. So we've got a lot of great things to talk about. We're going to have our casual conversation, talk about all the great things in Floyd County schools. But before we get started, Dr. White, there's something that, I've been hearing about in the college football world. So it appears that those fans that jumped on the bandwagon in 2008 on the Alabama bandwagon might be jumping off right now. So because I care so much about you and I think you're a great person and I respect you so much for a boss, I've brought something for you. Now, I'm not going to do this to everybody, okay? I'm not going to do this to everybody.
Okay, what do we have here today?
So we have, us Georgia fans are full.
Nothing to do with this.
Georgia fans are full, but I have brought you options, 2 Georgia hats here in case you want to jump on board to the right side.
I think that is wonderful, but I am going to have to tell you, if the University of Alabama never wins another football game, I'll still pull for them no matter what. So,
well, I respect that.
You just know I graduated from there, and so it's a little bit different. I'm not a casual fan. Even when we weren't good, I supported Alabama. So. And I love University of Georgia. I think Coach Smart does a wonderful job. He learned that from Coach Saban, of course. But I wish them the best, except when they play Alabama.
Which is September 28th.
September 28th. We will find out a lot about what's going on in football that day.
Well, I respect that. And, full disclosure, Dr. White, you know me, I had something planned because we had a podcast the Wednesday after the SEC championship game. And Alabama beat us, so I couldn't do it. So I had to do it at some point. So because that's all fun.
Well, I once again, I'm very proud of the University of Georgia. Their winning streak was broken, but they came back and started another one with Florida State.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to kind of see how it goes this year.
It'll be fun. Always a good time to talk that with you. So let's get into Floyd County schools. All the great things happening. We've been visiting schools since Christmas break. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Things are going in a great manner in the Floyd County school system right now. We have some construction going on at Armurchie and Coosa with field houses, new turf on both of those football fields, new tracks. I just encourage everyone to go by and just ride by the schools and look at it. Now here in about 3 months, we're thinking around June, when you go by, it's going to knock your eyes out because you're going to see that turf field, synthetic track, and then all the things that are around it. So just want everybody to know what we're doing with their SPLOST money. It's going into those projects, but other great things are going on in our classrooms. We're in the process of getting ready for milestones testing. It's going to take place here in the next 3 months. So our kids are in the classroom. Our teachers are getting ready for that. We're very proud of what they were doing. So we just want to keep that momentum going as far as what's going on in our school system, and we're in the process of purchasing new band uniforms.
Yes.
That will be coming this fall for our band program. So it's just a lot of great things going on right now.
Absolutely. And this weekend will be our system-wide musical of Chicago.
Yes, I should have mentioned that right off the bat. Those kids have done a wonderful job. I've been talking with Ms. Childs, and they're really excited about Chicago. That's going to be the name of it.
I'm getting to go tonight, so I can't wait to see that. But a lot of great things you mentioned. In the classroom, we will have a special guest of Mr. John Parker join us towards the end to talk all great things academics and what he is seeing you guys do in the classroom with our wonderful students. But yes, the field houses look great. The turfs look great at Model and Pepperell. I can't wait to see it at Coosa Armurchie. It's going to be a multi-use place for all of our students and our communities to enjoy.
Those field houses will be used not only for football, but for spring sports like girls and boys soccer. They'll be using that. It'll be used for wrestling, cross country, all those kind of sports and activities will be kind of coordinated through those facilities at Coosa and Armurchie.
Perfect. And those new band uniforms will look perfect on that turf when they perform.
It will be something to see, that's for sure.
So let's get into some of the questions. I know you mentioned with our Teachers of the Year yesterday at the Teacher Advisory, we briefly touched on because jeans have been brought up again.
Yes.
And the local supplement, in addition to the proposed supplement from Governor Kemp,
Yes.
And I know you wanted just to briefly touch on that because we are going to address that in a called work session in a couple of weeks.
Yes, we will have a called board meeting, and it's a work session with the school board on February 26th. And we have a variety of topics we're going to talk about. One of them will be the jeans and the dress code for teachers and our professionals inside the building. I think we're looking at several things and talking with our teacher advisory committee yesterday. They are interested in wearing jeans. We addressed several issues about what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. Certainly, I think one of the things they were interested in is holding those accountable who don't meet the standard as far as dress code goes. And that ties into principals being observant and making sure that's being done. Now, I've kind of said this before, and I'm going to say it again. I don't want the focus of the Floyd County school system to be on jeans. That is not what I want. I want it to be on instruction and what goes on in the classroom. Our teachers being prepared to teach our kids. Our kids coming with the attitude we're going to learn. That's what I want us to focus on, not jeans. But I think this is something we can talk about, and we'll all work together to see what we can come up with.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the flip side of that, the local supplement, in addition to what the Governor Kemp's proposed plan is, what that looks like for us.
Okay, all right. So we need to kind of look at the whole situation. The governor, and it looks like it's moving through the legislature, has proposed a $2,500 increase in teacher pay, which would go to all certified employees. Now, remember, we have certified teachers, principals, administrators, those people. But then we have classified bus drivers, custodians, lunchroom staff, those people. So you've got two different groups here. I think that will go through the legislature, and we're hoping for that. So that would give teachers a $2,500 pay raise, along with other professionals, which would be our counselors and principals, assistant principals, those people. But we're also talking about a local supplement. What is that? Okay, so school systems have their base salary, and that comes from, the state salary schedule. And then we have a local supplement. Our local supplement is 8% of their salary right now. It's 8%. We would like to look at going to 8.5. I think it makes us more competitive, and I think that will increase the amount of money each teacher gets. Now, once again, that's not for classified, but we're going to look at something for them too.
Good.
So just remember that, with the goal being that we want to continue to increase the local supplement to be more competitive with neighboring counties. But one example I use is like with Bartow County, their local supplement is higher than ours. And that's based off the fact that they generate more money from property tax and the tax that they levy. And so that allows them to pay more. But remember that Bartow County has to compete with Cobb and Paulding. So that's a little bit different, situation as far as where we are, Floyd County. Although we're right beside them, we still want to be competitive.
Right. Makes perfect sense. So we will have more information coming after that called work session about some of the items on the agenda. This next question, statement is really for me, but I would like to talk with you about it as well because you and I work really close on this. It's the announcements and the process of how things are announced for weather delays and school closings.
Yes.
So just for transparency and the process, that was the last couple of days that we've done that, where we've had a delayed start or closed school because of weather. Dr. White, you reach out, you talk to so many people about planning that, and we really pay close attention to making sure our principals are prepared for this, they're aware. And so on the communication side, if it had been an incident, I was in the classroom, so we talked through this. If it was an issue where school was closing early and we were in school, of course, I would have made the effort to let the teachers know before the parents and the students, because it is important for teachers to know ahead of time so they can prepare. The last couple of issues or closings, not issues, but we've had the weather to deal with. We've been out of school. Yes. And so Mr. Alcorn and yourself notified principals to give them several minutes, 20, 30 before the announcement was made to everyone. And I send it out to staff first, and then I schedule it for parents and students. Now, the way that goes out, once it's in the cloud or whatever, I can't control. But we do have a process where we do let our principals know half an hour in advance so they can communicate and prepare, and then we start making the call ahead of time. There was a situation that was out of our control where it did get leaked before we were ready to announce it. And guys, that was completely an accident that we could not control, and we do apologize for that. We tried to communicate as quickly as possible when that got out before we have even had made a decision. So anything you want to add?
Yes, we are going to consider all weather situations that might present a safety issue for staff or students, and then make decisions based on that. And know that information, Tim Harrington with the Emergency Management Agency here in Floyd County, I will communicate with him several different times and see what's going on. He keeps up with that. He monitors what's going on inside of Floyd County. Of course, we're looking at the weather forecast and all those kind of things. So we're trying to do the very best we can to make the right decision. So that goes with it. And then, of course, we're trying to notify the principals before that goes out to anyone, then our staff, and then we're sending it to the paper, and then they're sending it out. So it gets a little bit complicated at times, but our goal is for everyone to be informed.
Yes, and to be safe and keeping our students and staff and parents
definitely.
In the forefront of that. Speaking of weather delays, there was a question about, and Miss Stacy Hardy answered this beautifully yesterday, so we'll try to sum it up for her here.
Okay.
Where the question was, why is it that January 1 is the start date for makeup time for those days? And she answered, because there's classified and certified.
Yes.
Classified employees, they are unable to go back past January 1 as far as their clock in and time out.
Right. They're hourly employees and they paid by the hour. Also, they can earn overtime. Some of our employees do. If we had an emergency situation, our facilities guys had to go out at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning to fix the water leak. Right. Those kind of things. So hourly employees are treated differently because of the fact they are hourly compared to the certified teachers, administrators, those people.
Right. And because of that, and because we are trying to unify that and we are one system, and so since certified or classified, cannot go past that January 1, Ms. Hardy and HR and the board and you all decided January 1 would be the same for everyone.
Yes.
And guys, it was mentioned yesterday, and I'm so glad some of the principals were in there. I think there's some hesitant there because they're like, when am I going to make it up? That time has been extended to March 31st.
Yes.
And Ms. Hardy stated that can be as simple as grading papers or answering emails or working 10 minutes for dismissal. And one of our principals spoke up and said, guys, you're going to get this done. Please don't stress. Yes. Your principals are well aware of this. They're doing a great job working with our certified and making sure their hours are caught up and it's going to get done. But the reason for that was for the certified and classified employees to be on the same page.
Yes, and it could be they're meeting with a parent. Let's just say that the parent can't get off and they won't be at the school until 4 o'clock.
Right.
So then you're counting the time that you met with the parent on your parent conference. That would count, those kind of things. There's a variety of ways for our certified staff to get that. I don't think it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, the biggest thing yesterday that we spoke to our teachers of the year, don't stress about this. Your principals are aware.
Yes.
They know that time, teachers work all the time, and so that time will be made up in no time. So
yes, it will be.
And if you have a question, Miss Stacy was willing to answer that and help you out with that.
She will. She'll be glad to.
So speaking about changing gears a little bit, we were talking about safety with weather. Let's talk about safety in general and school safety and just talk about, one, how great a job our schools are doing with the protocols that's in place, keeping the doors locked, listening to Mr. Flanagan and our SROs and our principals on what's to be expected and making sure our students are safe. And that really came to light a couple weeks ago at Alto Park.
Yes, it did. We did have a person show up. This man was a homeless person who showed up on the campus. The doors were locked. He could not get in. Mr. Hopper, the principal, was notified. Mr. Hopper went out and talked with this gentleman. And then while that was going on, they had called the police. And Mr. Flanagan, our chief security officer, he got there in time to actually confront this person as they were leaving the campus. And then the police also showed up. And the gentleman, unfortunately, was arrested. He did have a weapon on him. He never threatened anyone with this, and they didn't even know that until they got ready to put him in the car to take him to jail. So that worked well, and we are concerned about safety, and that ties into teachers making sure their doors are locked, outside doors, inside doors, and just following the protocol. And it does work. It worked in that situation.
Absolutely. And props to Alto Park staff for being prepared and knowing who to call and staying calm and doing that because of the drills we do. Mr. Flanagan said that it is required to have one state lockdown drill. We do 2 here in Floyd County, and he does a really good job meeting with our SROs monthly and updating our ERP annually just to fix any issues that might have come up. So props to everyone in that regards.
Oh, they did a fantastic job.
Yes, really absolutely. Safety again, but shifting it to the technology world, your favorite conversation. Can you briefly talk about Mr. Matt DeBoard and his team do a great job keeping us safe in the technology world with rapid identity?
Yes.
Why is that so important for our staff?
Okay, so I have this article here from that we've been covering a situation in Henry County where they basically had to shut down the internet for the last 3 months. Yeah. And so that would throw our school system into total chaos if we had to do that. We don't want to do that. And I want to make sure I'm transparent. Guys, I said this yesterday to our teacher advisory committee. I am not a technology person. I can send a text message and an email, and that's probably about all. But I do know this, if we will follow this process and procedure, and I do it every morning. I have to go in there and sign in, and then it'll ping my phone, and I'm on it, and I'm putting the code in and to get in it. But it'll all be for our benefit in the long run because we do not want to lose the internet or access to any of our information. And then the worst case scenario is that they get our information and then kind of hold us hostage until we pay them. That has happened in many school districts across the country and across the state of Georgia. So we don't want to be part of that.
I saw just last week Forsyth County had an incident that students were trying to hack into technology and Wi-Fi information. So, and I will say, when it does go down, we all know, I was in 7th grade, even for 30 minutes, you rely on that technology. So it is important that we're proactive in making sure it's there and running smoothly.
It will cause a large amount of stress inside the school system when the internet goes down. I can tell you that right now. We start getting calls. Teachers get very stressed. Everyone, the students are used to it. I mean, it's something we want to make sure is working. And I want to say this about Mr. DeBoard. He's done a great job with this since he's been with us, keeping it up. These security measures are in place to make sure that it works and that we're providing service to our students and our staff. So I hope everyone understands that what this is all about and why we want to keep the whole computer, software world, power school, all those things safe and secure.
Absolutely. And on that note, there was a question about subs and why they were unable to log into teachers' computers with their username. It really ties into the safety of internet and sharing data and not allowing them to access your data.
Yes,
and it does. And Miss Selena Arrington, who also is in our technology department, she, her ITS team actually did a fantastic job earlier this year providing a tech tip with this great information on how subs can log in. They're provided a username and password. I do have copies of that. Miss Arrington said that she could share that with you again. Best practices for subs, but they have their own logins to try to avoid issues like information being leaked, technology security. Long-term subs, they're a little bit different than day-to-day subs. They are provided a temporary Floyd County Schools account, and they have access to the resources they need as well.
Yes.
So that is just another safety measure to make sure the teachers are protected and also the school system is protected so no one's passwords are leaked and whatnot. So she shared a great deal on that, and there is information. If you guys have that, please reach out. We'll be happy to give that to you.
Yes, and I would like to emphasize what you're saying. Ms. Arrington and Mr. DeBoard both, are working hard to make sure everything works for our students, for our substitute teachers, long-term, short-term, all those people. And they put resources in place to make sure that our substitute teachers and our regular teachers and all our employees have access to what they need as far as technology goes.
Yes, absolutely. I was very thankful for that in my teaching role and also now. So let's change gears and go to the calendar, which I think I can answer, but please, Dr. White, feel free. I do want to say thank you because when we first started talking about the calendar, when I got this job back in September, I brought up to you, I was like, can we do this more effective? And I asked you, do you think a committee would work? And you said,
Sure.
Absolutely. So I'm going to try to make this a long story short. We gathered a committee full of teachers from all grade levels that represent all of the school system, previous principals, teachers who are also parents, Miss McCall Gavinian because she oversees our testing,
Yes.
Miss Susan Baker because she oversees our special education. So we had lots of input there, and we also looked at the surveys that were done last year about the wants and the wishes and who wants to be off when and all that good stuff from parents as well. And hours have been spent and were spent with the committee for the 24-25.
Yes.
There were 2 options available for staff to vote on based off who wanted what. And what was interesting is like the elementary representatives on the committee would say, oh, well, is there any way we could try to be done before Memorial Day? Well, then the high school representative would say, well, that wouldn't work for high school because of graduation and senior initiatives and baccalaureate. So those were good, transparent conversations that maybe you don't think about all the time. And it is important to note that back when we became a charter system, I was in school, and I remember us going to a year-round calendar where there was intersessions and breaks all the time. Since then, that has been modified a lot because we don't have those breaks, I guess, every other 2 weeks. Whatnot. It just wasn't effective in the classroom.
No, and in the long run, it was not effective. I think our students actually, because of the way it was set up, did not, gain any academic progress from that format. But I think you probably could use the term modified year-round calendar but we still have summer. I mean, we're still doing summer. Now, it's not as long as it used to be 30 years ago.
I think it's right at 8 weeks now, where it was like 10 or so previously.
And it used to be longer, but when you look at our calendar throughout the year, we have more breaks. We have fall break. We have our Christmas breaks are running 2 weeks or more. Thanksgiving is running a full week. We're doing spring break. We're doing winter break. So we've got breaks spread throughout the year, which I think our teachers want.
And I think it's appreciative, too, because this is a stressful job and people are in the weeds every day. And when you have that break for not only our teachers, but our students to have that fresh start and kind of a revamp, even in March when it's just conference days, it's a break for teachers and students to have that time apart and then come back together. So I think it is helpful, but that's why the calendar is laid out the way that it is, because it is a modified, very modified type of year round where there are breaks put in for that life-work balance and whatnot. So just to be transparent, for the 24-25 calendar, the results came in. It was very close because there were not a whole lot of differences there because of the way the calendar fell and because there are 190 days for teachers.
Yes.
And if you start moving a planning day here to there, it might take away a student day that we still have to find. So there's a lot of moving parts. So that was the 24-25 that's already been implemented. Currently, so far, the 25-26, which the way the calendar falls in general, made it a different challenge for us because it had holidays on the weekend, and then we had to adjust planning that way. But right now, the option 2 version with August 1st start date is currently winning. This will close at 8 a.m. in the morning. But I had someone ask me, why can't we start with students on August the 4th and teachers on July 28th? Well, we could. Let's talk about that. Well, that would be 3 teacher days.
Yes.
And 2 student days that we would have to find somewhere else in the calendar.
It would have to go in the calendar.
Right.
And so when you start with all those ideas of fall break, winter break, Christmas break, Thanksgiving break, and then you're into the actual number of days. Right now, we're at 176 as far as instructional days for students. I'll be honest with you, I want to go back to 180 at some point, but we're not ready to do that because we're doing staff development for letters training, for the literacy law, and also math. So we've got those things in the calendar.
That's important.
It is, and so we're trying to keep the teachers in the classroom and not having to pay for subs, and so we can do these things. But when you start with those parameters, there's only so many days you can use.
Right.
So that kind of limits your options.
And we did reach out to surrounding counties about this. Several of them had not had the 25-26, but some of them admitted to me, look, we're looking at shortening fall break to make sure we have things at work. And then when I asked that on the committee, they were like, no, we love our fall break.
Yeah.
Another option would be getting rid of winter break, which full transparency, we didn't have it last year. I think the winter break is needed. So that's just a lot of things that fall into it. I was asked, or the committee was asked, why didn't we look at, Polk County to compare? They are a 4-day week.
Yes, they are.
It would be hard for us to even try to compare that because it's completely different.
It is.
And so
most definitely.
In order to continue these much needed breaks throughout the year, making sure our teachers have that break for them in the stressful weeds of things as testing comes up, we are limited as far as FTE and testing and CCRPI, all that stuff. So that's how it all came about. We are listening. We did try to gather a community where all the feedback was heard and listened and try to consider everybody's wants and wishes while also following the guidelines. So
yes, I think we did a good job with that. And as far as making everybody happy, I'm afraid we're not going to be able to do it.
Right.
I would love for everybody to be happy, but like you said, we're starting with these guidelines and on a start date and an end date, and you're trying to work all that together. Somewhere in there, somebody's not going to like the calendar.
Right, but that's we're human. We're all going to have disagreements, and it's how we have the disagreement. And I'm talking a lot about that in our effective communication conversations, which are going great. Thank you so much, Dr. White. You have been. We have had lots of great conversations about where the school system's going, and through this effective conversation that I'm getting to have in the schools. And thank you for supporting that, but that's a great example of how we're trying to improve communication through the calendar and build that trust and respect there.
That's what we want to do.
Absolutely.
Most definitely.
So moving on, there was a couple of questions about behavior, maybe more for the Tier 3 students that ISS or OSS is not really reaching. We hear that. We understand that. I think our Director of Student Services has been to several conferences, Ms. Becky McCoy, about implementing new curriculum for those Tier 3 social and emotional behavior, and then also curriculum for just the Tier 3 discipline in general. Do you want to speak on that?
Yes, I think that we are looking at options as far as Ms. McCoy's looking at these options, and we're going to bring some of this into the school system next year as far as implementing that in the classroom. As far as overall general behavior, now, my perception is we have wonderful students. Now, occasionally they do things that's inappropriate, and then they face consequences for that. So we're going to continue doing those kind of things. And, sometimes they make a mistake that would get them in the transitional academy, and that's where they go. So if it depends on what they've done, but always we want students to be well behaved, be respectful, and if they're not, then we want to address those issues.
And some of the curriculums, just so you guys know, one is called Check and Connect, which a lot of surrounding counties have already adopted, and I think that's having great success for that Tier 3 discipline. We've already spoken with the principals of the representative from RESA on that.
Yes.
Also through our partner, Atrium Health, they have what's called a positive action curriculum that Ms. Hardy and Ms. McCoy are talking to as well. That reaches the social and emotional Tier 3 behavior. So I think that will be, more information will be coming there. But I think there's also, correct me if I'm wrong, additional support in the elementary schools?
Yes, we have a paraprofessional that's been placed in all elementary schools as far as working with behavior situations and helping out, pulling the kids out of class, and then sometimes keeping them out of class for an extended period of time, depending on their behavior. So that is in all of our elementary schools. Now, all our middle schools and high schools have ISS, which is used on a regular basis, and other options depending on the type of behavior we're dealing with. So, and you get into consequences and what happens and placement in the transitional academy. Now, anytime we place a student in the transitional academy, one or two things have to happen. Either they sign a waiver or agree into the placement, or we have a tribunal where they sit down almost like a mini court and make their case on, well, no, I didn't do it, or yes, I did, and talk about the punishment and those kind of things. So it's not as easy as just saying, we're going to put you in transitional academy. there's a process and procedure in place for that.
And then students who have a 504 or IEP, under federal law, there are stipulations and guidelines that we must follow as well when the discipline comes in. And Ms. Baker talked a lot with our teacher advisory yesterday on that. But we have to follow that IEP and that 504. And so the discipline with that, there are federal requirements for those students. So there have been a couple of questions about the heat, and I know it got extremely cold there for a little bit, and a couple of classrooms and schools might have been colder. The heat was off. I know Mr. Worsham spoke on that yesterday. I was at Coosa for an athletic event, and the gym was very cold. I called him. Within minutes, he had someone out there getting it on. I know he mentioned he was in conversations about the heating units, and it's at the point where the companies are like pointing fingers at other people. But he is working on that. Can you talk about him and that facility?
And I want to compliment our facilities maintenance department, because they do call. When you do call them, they do answer, and they're responding. But some of these issues that we have with the heat and heating and air conditioning system tie into these companies who control, as far as the temperature in the classroom, and the communication between the actual units and the thermostat and where it is. And so it gets into a technical type situation where we rely on them to come out and help us. And so we've been doing that. I do think, back in January when we had that extremely cold few days there, we did have some heating issues, and that's going to happen when you have extreme cold or extreme heat. We're going to have issues with that, and they're going to address it. Now, we would like for that to be done immediately, but let's be honest. In our homes, if we call for a HVAC person, we're probably going to have to wait for them to come out. It may not be today. It might be tomorrow.
My husband's actually in HVAC, and they are backed up right now, and sometimes it's a couple of days.
Yes. So we have to be reasonable in what we're expecting from our guys when they're working on 16 different facilities.
Right.
So just keep that in mind. We want everyone to be warm in the cold weather, and then we want everyone to be cool when it's real hot. So we're working on that, and Mr. Worsham is looking at all possibilities as far as addressing these issues.
Perfect. I think now's a great time to welcome our guest.
Yes, that'd be a great time.
We would love to welcome Mr. John Parker to talk things academics, curriculum, the great things you're seeing in classroom.
Absolutely.
So
Talk about these table decorations. They are.
Aren't they lovely? Thank you.
Can we just say how much we love Coca-Cola?
Yes.
Love it.
It's awesome. We only drink Coca-Cola products.
That's it.
I love it. It's delicious. So these snapshots of success.
Mm-hmm.
I was so excited when we started doing that because it's not like a gotcha thing. This is exciting, right?
It is very exciting. It's thrilling for my department to be able to walk into our school systems, any classroom in our school system, and see commonalities, to see teachers buying into the concepts of our instructional model, our instructional framework, to see extremely well-managed classrooms. Yes, sometimes students have behaviors that have consequences, but our teachers are really masterful at getting the most out of the time that they have. So there are really so many great things that are happening in our classroom. We probably don't have enough time to mention them all, but it is a positive experience for our students. Our teachers are moving to more student-centered classroom environments. We really want the accountability to be on the student for the learning when they're in there. We don't want the teachers necessarily to be the absolutely hardest working person in the room at the time. We don't want our teachers to be the only person talking. So, during these visits, we're seeing a lot of accountable student talk. We're seeing very positive interactions, not only from student to teacher, but student to student. Our students are supportive of each other during the learning process. So it's really incredible to see the entire school system focused on very common values, and also a culture developing, or really, I think it's already developed, all of our teachers want to get better. And Dr. White, he has one goal, and that's to be at the top.
Yeah.
Yes.
We know that, but our teachers also know that, improvement is how we get there.
Right.
And they all want to get better, not only, student data wise, but just at their own personal craft. So it's been a very positive experience. We've made our way through about 75% of those so far, and they've all been incredible. So kudos to everybody.
And there's success outside of academics going on everywhere. I mean, this county is really thriving with our students and wonderful students and teachers. But as far as academic goes, their success, we saw them with our test scores.
Yeah.
Yes.
Success at all 4 areas in different ways. And it
Absolutely.
sounds like it's coming from what you're seeing in the classroom, and it's working.
Yeah, the results speak for themselves.
Right.
Every year we get better.
Yes.
And it makes my job easier sometimes, because when I get to report the results to Dr. White and the school board, they're always going up. But
Right.
I know
Good stuff.
we all know the bar keeps being raised, and every time our teachers just double down and jump over it. In every corner of our school system, there are highlights, whether it's growth or achievement.
Yes,
So
both are huge.
absolutely.
And so on that, I was in the classroom and we had lots of support. So thank you for that. But one of those being academic coaches and their support there. I know when I was at Coosa Middle, that was extremely helpful having Miss Shannon Politz and Miss Lindsay Norton there as an extra resource. So can you talk about how that has been a huge part of the success and maybe what their roles are in the classroom and just to kind of generally talk about their role and how they're there to support?
Yeah, that group is absolutely vital to our success. Everyone deserves a coach.
Right.
They really do. And teachers, most of all, they want feedback. They want to know, how am I doing? And to have dedicated professionals who are experts in that craft to be able to give you, sometimes critical feedback, but it's always something that you can use to improve your craft. That's their primary goal, is to be there in the classroom and observe teachers, not in an evaluative way, but in a way that will help them get better at what they do each and every day. They're in a lot of PLCs. They do a lot of planning with teachers. They've been a huge part of our push this year to stick to our pacing guides and helping develop those things. We really could not keep advancing in the way that we are without them. And I'm thankful to Dr. White and the school board for, keeping those positions in place even beyond this year. So they're an incredible group of people. They're a little bit different. They're a little bit out there sometimes because they are very specialized. But they love what they do, and I think they bring great value to Floyd County schools.
And it's showing, absolutely. I agree. Curriculum, new curriculum.
Oh, we get new curriculum?
Yeah, you didn't know that? Wow, you missed a lot.
Good.
Well, surprise,
Yes.
new curriculum's coming.
Yes.
Can you talk about where we are with that? And maybe you don't have it laid out yet, but is there going to be extra support or planning days for that, or what is your plan with that?
We are nearing the finish line
Yay.
on selecting maybe the most important curriculum piece we have, and that's for early literacy.
Was there a committee on that?
There was a committee.
I love committees.
There were several committees. My process that I go through, it's first a discussion with a couple of people, and then we bring in a few more, and then a few more. So the committee that reviewed the 3, finalists for the early literacy curriculum was probably 50 or 60 people, administrators, interventionists, most importantly, teacher leaders, so boots on the ground in the classroom, people that we respect, that do the work every day. There were no wallflowers on the committee. I will say that. Everybody was very willing to give us, their opinion and let us know what they thought. But, right now, I don't want to say the name of the company right now because we do have to get this approved, but we have narrowed it down to one
That's
that
exciting.
everybody really likes. So we're taking a little bit deeper dive, and we
Not even willing to give the audience a hint.
it
little bit of
starts
hint.
with a B.
Okay, that's
Starts
a little
with
bit.
a B.
Okay, that's fair. That's
So,
exciting.
Yep, and we're hoping in March to be able to bring a proposal to the board and Dr. White to get approval, and we will have ample support in terms from the company that we choose. The one in particular that we're talking to, their support is mostly push-in support, so we like that. It's going to be less of pulling teachers out.
Okay.
So
That's
that
nice.
is their philosophy, and we definitely like that.
Yes.
Of course, there'll be opportunities to ramp up maybe in the summer. So we're going to do this right. We've been very careful about it, and we want to choose something that's just going to take us to the next level.
And this is an example too where those extra planning days are valuable. To your
Yes.
point
Without a
earlier,
doubt.
that is valuable because teachers aren't having to worry about maybe working on the weekends to figure
Yes.
that out. They're there for you.
We don't want
for
teachers
this.
working on the weekends.
No, that is very important.
We want them to relax.
Yes, me too. So talking about professional development, letters training,
Yes. That's good stuff.
that is great stuff. I was able to
Incredibles.
sit in on a
Yeah.
couple things, and my mind was blown.
Yeah,
Great opportunity that the county is providing for teachers.
it is.
It is a training that has to be purchased. So the question is, there is some days and some time that is put
There's a
towards
time
that.
commitment.
Yes, absolutely. Why is there not an endorsement? And can you maybe talk about where endorsements come from, just for those that don't know? Because I didn't know, and Ms. Gavinian shared some great information yesterday. So where endorsements come from? How do we get them? And why is there not a letters endorsement?
Well, the endorsement is really something that comes from the PSC.
Right.
And we are, to my knowledge, the only medium-sized school system in the state of Georgia that offers our own endorsements and provides those opportunities free of charge to our teachers.
Okay.
If you're outside of Floyd County and you want to get a reading endorsement or an online endorsement or a math endorsement, that money's got to come out of your pocket.
Okay.
So that is something that's unique for us. There is not a letters endorsement in Georgia yet. It probably may be in the future.
It is growing.
But we want the most. We want reading, instructing ninjas in our classroom. We want them to be the highest trained people that are out there and doing our research. Letters is the gold standard.
Yeah.
I mean, it started the literacy revolution in Mississippi, worked its way to Alabama, and it's the best of the best. So now the state of Georgia is requiring us to certify that our elementary teachers basically are highly trained in the science of reading.
Yes.
Which, that's what letters is.
Yep.
That's the foundational elements at its core. So if we're going to be required to do it, we're going to get the top-notch gold standard training.
And
that
it's
there
fully
is.
provided
Yes.
for our teachers. And thank you for Duffy's local restaurant for always
yes.
providing
Yes.
lunch for our
And
letters.
Chick-fil-A.
And Chick-fil-A, yes. Two of the best. So you can't lose there. You got
No,
lunch,
that's good
right?
stuff
Cannot.
right there.
So, well, that wraps it up. That's all the questions I have. Really great stuff going on.
Good stuff.
Our festival is coming up May
Yes.
11th, our first annual festival.
All right.
I am working my way through all the schools talking about our new strategic plan
Yes.
and where we're going as a district and how things are really just going along, and through effectively communicating, through celebrating each other as a district. And we're going to start doing that annually at our
Yes.
festival. And so that's going to be May 11th for those schools that I haven't made it to. Mark your calendars.
Brooke, we just need to celebrate you.
No.
You're doing an incredible job.
You are.
Thank
Getting
you.
the news
Fantastic.
out, and it's an honor to be on season 1 of the Superintendent's Podcast.
Episode 3.
And I'm hearing good things about season 2 getting greenlit for next year.
Oh,
maybe.
wow.
Yeah.
Mr. Williams can work
So,
something
yeah.
out for us. That would be amazing.
Absolutely.
I love it. Great things are happening. And for those that want to know, because I know there's people out there dying, my phone's probably blowing up with people asking me this question: what is the theme of our festival?
Ooh.
Oh, you might ask.
Are you about to?
I'm about to tell you.
Good deal. I was wondering.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I haven't even shared with Dr. Watt. So
Breaking news.
And,
Bigger
you know,
than Taylor
I'm gonna-
Swift album announcement.
it is. So mark this date down. I'm going to preface this with the elementary teachers are really more excited in this, which I get. High school teachers were excited, but my nerd self really love this. So we are camping with Floyd County Schools, keeping the fire alive. Now, I'm not asked. Follow-up question, our closer.
That's amazing.
What does CAMP stand for?
Wow. This is going to be interesting.
Is it glamping or camping?
It's camping.
I'd be more into the glamping.
Now, I did talk to Miss Mary Alcorn at Garden Lakes, and it's probably going to be glamping for her.
Well, yeah,
but
she's...
Camping, we always love her frou-frou on things. I love it.
Here?
There is an acronym.
Okay.
I'll give you a hint. It has something to do with
Hold
who
on.
we are.
The C maybe stands for CUSA.
Oh, maybe.
Wow.
Here we go. Can you fill it in?
The A is going to be our merchant.
Yes.
The
Okay,
M is
so
Model
and
and
peace
pepper.
pepper.
Oh,
Look at that.
brilliant.
Yeah, that's it.
And I can't take all the credit. Mr. Michael Branson might have had some help with that at our Glissy
Wow, he did
conversation.
good.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Good stuff.
Michael's always got ideas.
Yes. So that's all I have. Great stuff coming. Thank you all. You're truly
All right, thank
appreciated.
y'all. Goodbye.
Thank you, Dr. White and Mr.
Thank
Parker.
you.
All right.
Let's see it.